the African capital as a frontier capital that will lead even the other foreigners to come in. Today, the AFC can now catalyze other capital to come hand in hand with them, but they lead the way. We must have these focused industrial parks and so on. In Anambra, we're developing what we call the Anambra Mixed Industrial City. As a focused area, I understand that that's part of what you are also developing here in Abuja in terms of focused locations, as the case may be. But let me say this, dear friends, still within this concept of economic and, nurturing national champions and getting them to invest, I want to share a simple point with you, that the biggest way to promote massive investments in all sectors in Nigeria is to buy, eat, drive, drink, made in Nigeria. Yes, I drove to this conference with my innocent vehicle, made in Anambra State. See, I'm wearing Akwete, made by women of Akwete in Abia. And my shoe, probably there. If you come, I'll show you around Obunike and all of that. And you see, I'm wearing my own nationalism on my head. That's a green eagle. Out there. I am Nigerian, and God didn't make a mistake to make me Nigerian. If he wanted me to be any other, he would have created me to come from there. And since he made me Nigerian, there must be a reason. The reason is that we must make it work here. Everybody else fight for their own country. Everybody else wants to, because no matter how you think about globalization and all of that, populations are still confined within the nation states, and the governments must provide jobs for those people. And so you see where the tension comes in terms of the competitive thing. I remember, and we must mainstream African Continental Free Trade Agreement and keeping an eye on the global emergence. But talking about this ethnicity of capital, I remember, I just tell you one story that happened when I was governor. And after we had implemented the consolidation of the banks, and several of our banks now started emerging as regional and even global champions. You go to Heathrow and you see some of them advertising on the place, and all of a sudden, those rickety banks now are taking over the rest of Africa. I remember someday, Barclays Bank, their, I think, Middle East and Africa team came to see me. Before then, it was difficult to have investments into our banking system. Some of them had to be doing global roadshows to attract investment. The moment you begin to do something domestically, which is a message I want to leave with you, these guys, no matter the amount of preaching you do, you won't get the investors to come. When you lead the way, they will come to pursue you, to come to make the investment. When we had the consolidation and these banks, grew up with some stature, now foreign banks were now coming to acquire them. I remember Barclays coming, and they wanted to invest, according to them, £500 million. They wanted to acquire the bank, and they wanted them to expand and so on. And I received the delegation. And my response was, fine, thank you very much, you're welcome. But I will prefer you, in fact, file your application, go and wait at the Hilton. I will bring you your banking license to Hilton, but not in the, to take this our own. I will bring it in the name of Barclays. Come and operate as Barclays. My goal is to empower these our own banks to become the future Barclays of Africa. That was my message to them. Because come to think about it, some of you know the banks that are foreign here. You have Citibank, you have this, you have that have been in Nigeria for decades. Take Citibank, for example. How many branches does it have in the country? Is it in your village? No, it won't come to your village because of its risk appetite. The ones owned by Nigeria, the Access, the Zenith, the UBA, the this and that, they will be everywhere. Their risk appetite is more. They can finance your projects here and there. The foreign banks will be there to deal with the multinationals who are of their nationalities and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the way the world works. And, well, they didn't come back again. Now, when I went to Washington, for a spring meeting, fall meeting of the bank and the IMF. The Assistant Secretary of Treasury in charge of African affairs of the US, scheduled to have a meeting with me. And that was to discuss this particular issue. Oh, the WTO rules, you are putting a barrier to them taking over this or buying what they want. WTO allows this and so on. Just both of us, one-on-one. And I said,